Welcome back to JJ Isaacson Field on the Corn Belt League Network as we get you set for our fourth and final quarterfinal matchup with the Rail Riders and the Bombers going head-to-head in the 5 versus 4 matchup. Two teams above 500. First time we've seen a matchup of that nature in these quarterfinals. So Tyler Reidy and Jaden Taylor here with you. Jaden, been interesting as we get set to take a look at the bracket in a moment. We've seen 3 matchups so far, and all of them have been close games. No blowouts yet. Just tells you about the nature of this postseason.
Yeah, last night we saw with that Crop Dusters Black Sox matchup, just the back and forth battle. I think that was really the one where we were on our toes the entire game. Our last game here, Cole Warner and Tanner Durazo, a pitcher's duel. You look in the definition of what a pitcher's duel was, that game was it between those two. one mistake, a Tanner Durazo fastball that went over the plate to Zachary Tanabe for the triple. That was the only mistake, truly pitching-wise, of the game, and somehow it leads to Royal Blue Dogs elimination.
Yeah, that first game earlier today, just an hour and 20 minutes to go through 7 innings. A lightning-fast game highlighted by tremendous pitching. Now let's get into the bracket, give you a look at how things shape up as we conclude the quarterfinals. Footballers, Haymakers, Black Sox have already punched their ticket to Saturday with the Haymakers taking on the Black Sox at 5 p.m. And the victor between the Bombers and Rail Riders will take on the number 1 seeded Footballers in the early game on Saturday. But you see how close those 3 games have been, and should only get better from here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you like at a quarterfinal baseball. Again, a lot of times you think maybe the first round is going to be a little bit of a wider margin, but with all 4 games, or the 3 games we've seen so far, and very likely here for the 4th, it's been back and forth matchups. Really, no team has truly been out of it at any point throughout these 3 games so far.
So as you look at how the Bombers and Rail Riders stack up, it's one of the most interesting comparisons we've seen out of these quarterfinals. The Rail Riders are a step ahead of the Bombers in just about every category, and they've taken 3 out of 4 from them this year, despite being the lower seed, the 5 seed. However, the Rail Riders have fared much worse against all other teams. Bombers with much better run differential and a half game ahead of them record-wise as well. But these 2 teams stack up very similarly and should be fun to watch how it plays out.
Now, the offenses have been really good, and we're going to see 2 aces here today. I think you see that 5th best in the league, the ERA for the Bombers, right? We've seen number 1 and number 2 being great. Adam Eggert as well as Zane Layden. Braden Olson's been a pretty consistent bullpen pitcher for the Bombers this season, but outside of him, the bullpen has a league-worst 8.12 ERA. You cannot have that out of the guys. There's just really been no depth for this Bombers pitching staff. They've been really top-heavy, but they're going to have their number 1 guy on the mound here tonight.
So let's highlight the players to watch, starting with Braden Artzer of the Rail Riders. At the top of that order, he'll be leading off and playing center field. Average of .344, a guy that can get on base and can score runs in bunches as well with 21 of them. He is a big-time table setter and has a little bit of pop as well. You see some of those extra base hits, but he can do a little bit of everything at the top of that Rail Riders order.
Yeah, those extra base hits, you mentioned the pop. He has enough to get it out deep into the outfield, but the biggest thing for him is his speed, right? He can put a ball into the left center gap that to a lot of guys may be a long single, but for him with his speed, he can stretch it and make guys try to make a throw on it and sometimes lead to a double, even sometimes 3 bases. So we're going to see both the guys in the top of the order for both of these teams with a lot of speed. It's going to be a real big factor with 2 really good pitchers on the mound.
Yes, the pitching matchup is phenomenal for tonight's game, and half of it is Adam Eggert, one of the best pitchers in this Corn Belt League. You see the ERA well below 2. He's thrown over 50 innings. Both the innings and the ERA, along with the whip and strikeouts, lead the team, and they're among the best marks we see in the entire league.
Yeah, overall, he's just arguably the best guy in the league, like you mentioned. A league best 57 strikeouts this season. Does also have a top 4 whip as well as a top 4 ERA with a 1.74 whip. But here's the thing to mention for him. There's only been 1 start this entire year for Adam Eggert that hasn't gone his way. It was a 3-inning performance, 5 earned runs up against the Royal Blue Dogs, a .557 average for the Royal Blue Dogs with batters or balls put in play. You take that 1 game out of the entire situation statistically for Adam Eggert, he has a 1.12 ERA. You take out 1 outing, 1 little piece to where he wasn't quite at his best, he is 100% the best guy in the league.
Well, you mentioned the speed earlier on with Braden Artzer, and look at a guy for the Bombers who is, quite frankly, the definition of speed. Danny Sponberg, league leader with 25 stolen bases. He can get on base with that .324 average and 26 runs, among the best in the league as well, and has some postseason experience going back to his time with Crate and Prep. And just like Artzer, he's at the top of that order, ready to do some damage and get things going for this Bombers offense.
Yeah, I know I definitely have a little bit of a different view on Prep guys myself, being a West Side guy, but he's got some confidence. He's got some swagger in every single way. And a lot of times you see some guys with a lot of speed, right, that know they have speed, know that they're taking bases. Sponberg can be that guy a little bit, but he hasn't been too aggressive, right? He knows when to steal. Only 1 time he has been caught stealing or picked off this entire year. So again, not only is he confident, he knows he is the guy that's going to take a bag. And I don't think I've maybe seen 2 or 3 times that he's gotten on base and within the first 3 pitches he hasn't tried to steal second.
Yep, not a matter of if, but a matter of when. But he and his boys will be up against Austin Shelton for the Rail Riders taking the mound in that premier pitching matchup with Adam Eggert. And Shelton not too far behind with the ERA below 2.5. Hasn't thrown as many innings, but he's been almost just as effective, Jaden.
Yeah, you talk about the number one guy in strikeouts this season. He's been the best guy for strikeouts per 7 innings. You see the 9 strikeouts per 7 innings, pitched just a 2.62 walks per 7 innings. These are two guys that are going to pound the zone early. That's been the biggest emphasis. I talked to both of them. You talked to Shelton, I talked to Eggert. Both of them. What's the emphasis for tonight? Do what we do and pound the zone. That's what you're going to see a lot here tonight.
And Shelton, in his last start against the Bombers on July 15th, went 7 innings, complete game, 11 strikeouts, and that helped him to a Pitcher of the Week performance a couple weeks ago. 2 outings in that one as a start, 1 out of the bullpen, and he went 9 innings, striking out 12. Strike percentage was up very high for him, as it usually is, and he's going to look to continue. We talked to him before the game, and Austin Shelton just wants to keep doing what he's been doing, pounding the strike zone, keeping hitters off balance, and performing at a very high level like he's been.
Yeah, talking to Coach Francisco about Shelton, this guy is a competitor. He just has the ability to go out there, and he wants to win every single time he has a chance. And the thing for him of how much they've had confidence in him this season is that they really know when he goes out there, he's going to be the one that give them a chance to win ball games. That's really all you can ask of a starting pitcher.
So there are the Rail Riders looking to pull the first upset of the quarterfinals. It's been all chalk so far, with the highest seed winning each of the 3 matchups. We'll give you the starting lineups while we got some time here before Star Spangled Banner and first pitch. For the Rail Riders, center fielder Braden Archer leads off, shortstop Gabriel Baker second, left fielder Derek Enertson third baseman A.J. Urban the cleanup spot, batting 5th, extra hitter Whit Rogers, first baseman Liam Kaminsky bats 6th, the catcher Cedric Dunwald is 7th, the DH Ben Raveling bats 8th, Garrett Globe bats 9th and plays right field, and the second baseman P.J. Laux is 10th. And then for the Bombers, the home team on the scoreboard, the higher seed, right fielder Danny Sponberg leads it off. Then left fielder James Grease second, center fielder Tanner Black third, so that elite defensive outfield gets it started in the top 3 as usual. First baseman Nico Saul bats 4th as he has all year, shortstop Brennan Cascio 5th, catcher Gage Julin 6th, batting 7th, second baseman Kyle Weber, and batting 8th, third baseman Braden Olson, with the DH Cole Nordine rounding it out in the 9th spot. So we will pause for a moment and be back with the Star Spangled Banner and first pitch here on the Corn Belt League Network.
matter what your age, skill level, or position. Your baseball season begins at the Strike Zone. Featuring state-of-the-art batting cages, group and private instruction, the Strike Zone provides athletes all the training and equipment you need to get your game to the next level. Give the gift of development to your baseball or softball player. Purchase your Strike Zone gift cards today. Baseball never ends at the Strike Zone.
Just moments away from first pitch in the final of our 4 quarterfinals, Bombers and Rail Riders in the 4-5 matchup. Tyler Reidy alongside Jaden Taylor, Adam Eggert on the mound getting warm for the Bombers, and gave you the lineups before the last break. And Jaden, final thoughts on this one here before we get ready to finish off the quarters and head to the semis.
Yeah, I think we questioned a little bit the Royal Bulldogs' decision this past game to go with 10 guys, but I really like the reason that Coach Francisco is going with 10 guys here in their lineup. It really seems like how he's putting it together is truly 3 sets of 3 or 4, right? They really have truly 3 different leadoff hitters in this lineup. Braden Artzer, to start it off, will be the center fielder in the actual number 1 spot, but then Liam Kaminsky, I really think it is another leadoff type spot at the 6th spot. He's batting .303 this season. He's had experience at the 1 or 2 spot, and then you go back down to the 9 spot. PJ Laux has been the same thing. He's been 1-2 majority of the year, has dropped down to the 9 spot at times to also be kind of a second leadoff guy. So I really like the way Francisco has been laying out his lineup to have 3 different shots, 3 different chances to kind of have a leadoff guy that's getting on really consistent up against one of the best pitchers in the league, and Adam Eggert.
So Braden Artzer will lead it off, the center fielder for the Rail Riders, against the left-hand throwing Adam Eggert. Mostly sunny skies, a beautiful night in Omaha, Nebraska as we get set for first pitch. Arts are into the box and we are ready to go. Eggert fires and it is in for strike one.
8:02 and it's 79 degrees here at the ballpark.
Eggert again, guy, we talked about some of the best pitchers in the league are going to be guys that find the zone early and often. A 68% first pitch strike percentage this year compared to a 66% strike percentage overall. But again, the biggest thing from him out of the left side, I really compare him really back and forth a lot to Cole Warner like we saw in our last game. A guy that gets weak contact, can strike out when needed, but doesn't have to. The three-pitch mix is going to be big for him, that fastball, curve, and change. I really like the way he's been able to sequence it this year.
Artser floats one into right center. That's down for a base hit. And he stays red hot with a leadoff single. Artser came into this one, ending the regular season with 3 consecutive multi-hit games, and he has himself a base hit to lead off the ball game for Gabriel Baker, the shortstop, batting second.
A really good way to start it off, right? Get a little flair, get something. That's what some of these things are going to come down to in a game like this where you have 2 really good starting pitchers. The small things are going to be amplified in such a big way. You mentioned Archer, the ability to steal bases this season has been a really big factor for him. 15 stolen bases on the year. And talking to Coach Francisco, that's going to be a big emphasis here today. He really wants to make sure that they can take as many bags as they possibly can. Because those things are going to emphasize, right, how big sometimes small things can become later on in games. You mentioned one little piece, one little small thing this past game, that 1-0 win for the Haymakers. That triple down the left field line was big for the Haymakers, ended up winning it. So again, very small things. The margin for error in a game like this is very small.
1-1 the count on Gabriel Baker. Out of those 15 stolen bases, 3 of them have come against the Bombers for Braden Artser. And Baker trying to bunt, but he pops it up foul, 1-2.
Yeah, kind of odd to see there to try to put down a bunt there on a 1-1, especially after he had already swung at or had already looked at 2 more before that. So see what Baker can do here in a 1-2. He's definitely setting himself behind. I think both the guys out of Texas A&M, Texarkana here with Baker as well as Whit Rogers have been pretty consistent bats here for this team all season long.
1-2 pitch is just inside. 2-2 the count on Baker. If you're just joining us, the numbers on Eggert, the lefty out of Wayne State. This is his 9th start, 12th total appearance. So on 52 1/3 innings, struck out 57 and just 14 walks. A team leading ERA of 1.74 and a team best WHIP of 1.13. Walks and hits per innings pitched, and his last appearance was a start against the Black Sox on July 21st, last Thursday. Went 7 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, only struck out 1. Didn't walk anybody as this is grounded back past the mound. A tough play for Casio, but he throws out Baker for out number 1. Archer moves up to second. But going back to that outing against the Black Sox, only 1 strikeout in 7 innings for Eggert, who is a big-time strikeout pitcher. He had his lowest whiff percentage of the year by a mile, just 3.4%.
And a big thing from him as well is just the limited times he's allowed walks. 14 walks this season, 13 earned runs. So just about every single time he's given up a walk, that's when you're going to be able to maybe see him in some danger. Just incredible to think about. Just a 1.87 walks per 7 innings pitched. And you'll take that out of your number 1 every single day.
Outside ball 1 to Enertson as he went off speed. Derek Enertson, the left fielder, batting third. Braden Artser up at second base. 1-0 pitch, cut on, foul back. Big rip from Derek Enertson.
I really like the way Eggert's been able to establish inside, right? You got the broken bat, a little new piece of lumber coming back at him from Gabriel Baker. And then Eggert was comfortable going right back to the fastball in the inner half on a really good hitter in Derek Enertson.
1-1 pitch, chopped foul, 1-2. Eggert, despite throwing so many innings, over 50 coming into the night, only a third of those 52-plus innings against the Rail Riders. He threw 5 pitches to get 1 out on a strikeout in a relief appearance on July 10th, and that's it. So aside from that 1 batter, it's a fresh sight here for the Rail Riders. Seeing Eggert for the first time as this is on the ground to second. Kyle Weber throws to first, and Enertson is out. Archer moves up to third with 2 away.
Yeah, and talking to Eggert as well as Shelton, both their biggest emphasis, just like it was with Warner, is really quick innings. How can we get through this order as quickly as possible, get it back to their offense? So far this season, half of the innings that Adam Eggert has thrown have been 13 pitches or less. He averages just about 14 pitches per innings pitched. And for those that don't know too much about a pitcher, a lot of times a really quality inning is going to be either really about 15 or less pitches per anything. Anything plus that can be kind of a longer inning for guys. So if you can consistently get it at 13 pitches so each and single inning, you're going to be able to go a long way.
High chop to short. Cassio's throw is there. And Archer stranded at third as A.J. Urban grounds out. It's a scoreless first inning for the Rail Riders, and the Bombers will come to bat when we return in the bottom of the first on the Corn Belt League Network. Bottom of the first inning, Danny Sponberg getting set to lead it off for the Bombers. Our impact player for the Bombers with his speed and ability to get on base, but a tall task ahead of the Bombers with Austin Shelton on the mound. Tyler Reidy and Jaden Taylor giving you the 4 versus 5 quarterfinal matchup in this Corn Belt League postseason. Winner moves on to face the Filth Ballers. Sponberg takes one low and away, ball 1.
And an odd thing about that one, too, just at 2 p.m., an early start time, right? So the winner of this one has to go right from an 8 p.m. game that will, probably get home around 10:30, and you got to be ready the next day right early in the morning, get up 8 or 9, get out to the field probably about noon. So quick turnaround for guys that are not going to get a ton of rest versus the Filth Ballers who've already had a day plus of rest.
1-1 the count on Sponberg, and before that, 4 days of rest going into the quarterfinals for the Filth Ballers. So.
Now they have everybody yep. Really outside of their starter yesterday going to be able to go in Justin Drury. What I've heard, it's most likely going to be Corey Palmer tomorrow, then probably C.J. Fleeman on Saturday or Sunday.
2-1 the count on Sponberg. Austin Shelton is coming off a relief appearance through 40 pitches in 3 innings last Friday against the Red Raiders. Didn't allow an earned run and struck out 3 and induced weak contact 83% of the time.
And the biggest reason he's been able to do that is because of his arsenal. 5 different pitches that he's able to work comfortably in most counts. The only one that kind of is a lesser of the 5 is that slider. He'll mix it in there here and there. It's more going to be like a slurve kind of action, but the curveball is going to be the put-away pitch. The changeup you're going to see a lot to lefties. And we'll see the two-seam a lot of times into a guy like this in Sponberg who really likes to put the ball the other way.
Fastball, Sponberg fouls it straight back. It remains 2-2. This is Shelton's 4th outing against the Bombers this year in his second start, his third start rather. His first start back on June 19th went 6 innings, allowed 2 earned runs and struck out 8, and then against the Bombers on Friday, July 15th, went 7 innings, scoreless baseball. Complete game with 11 strikeouts. Sponberg is trying to square him up, fouling another one straight back to the screen, 2-2.
And Shelton's another guy. The first time we talked to him on opening day, the first words he came out of his mouth of what the emphasis is going to be, pound the zone. That's been the way he's been able to work all season long. He wants to be able to find the zone consistently. He's doing a really good job against Spongberg, but Spongberg, on the other hand, a really disciplined hitter, able to foul off some tough pitches.
Another 2-2, and that hits Danny Spongberg. Or did it? He's claiming it got him on the arm, down near the wrist, but home plate umpire disagrees. And then the question is, did he go around?
Yeah, did he go around or did he lean into it?
Spongberg just dropped the bat and he's walking around. Austin Alexander, Bombers head coach, will have a chat with the home plate umpire.
I mean, there's no opportunity for the guy at first base to see that either.
I didn't hear anything from up here that would signify the bat, but it's always hard to tell when it's inside and a check swing.
I doubt it was the bat. I think he's more calling it if he was leaning into the zone. I mean,
okay.
I don't want to say he was, but I think it was a quicker motion that he went to it. That's the only thing I could think of.
I think they might say it was the bat, though, because it's still 2-2 and he's getting back in the box.
Wow.
So foul ball, the ruling.
All right, though.
We'll see what this does to A, the tempo and rhythm of Shelton, and B, the comfort level of Spongberg in the box. He reaches out, grounds one up the middle, and he'll get on base after all with a base hit to center field.
Doesn't matter. That's what Spongberg's mentality has been all season long. He is, like you mentioned, a very confident guy. He wants to get on base very consistently. And again, his on-base percentage just skyrocketed, especially these last couple of games. Jumped up already to a .324 average, and here is where he's most dangerous. Those little squeak singles that get past the second baseman can at times turn to triples with his speed.
Now James Grease, the left fielder. And he went around strike one. So Spongberg is halfway there. He's extended his hit streak to 9 games. Now let's see if he can extend his stolen base streak to 9 games.
We were told 2 tonight, at least 2 tonight.
Yep, that's what he said in the dugout. He wants 2 stolen bags. His teammates are hoping for 3, but anything he can do to help his team win. Stolen a league-leading 25 bags this year. Stays put as the ball gets away with Grease pulling back the bunt, so he won't even have to steal second base as he advances on what I believe would be a passed ball. It didn't look like it was in the dirt. 1-1.
Yeah, either way, it was going to be a hard play for Dunwall to get to it. I think it got a little bit underneath him, but kind of skipped away a little bit. Kind of an odd setup right there. Not quite sure if it crossed Dunwall up behind home plate or what exactly it was.
Grease calls time. 1-1 the count on him. Danny Spongberg has scored 26 runs on the year. And that leads the team as well. Grease takes inside, 2 balls and a strike. Grease, plenty of extra base power, 5 doubles, 3 triples on the year. And a team high slugging percentage of .475. And he collected 2 doubles and 3 runs batted in his last game Monday against the Black Sox. He takes an outside strike, 2-2.
I like the thought process to put Dunwall behind home plate. Again, doesn't get the opportunity now unless Spongberg tries to take third, but the only caught stealing this season up against Spongberg was Dunwall right here the last time these two teams faced off. It was 2 times ago when they faced off back on July 10th.
3-2 the count now on Grease. The previous meetings between the Bombers and Rail Riders. Bombers won 2-0 on June 19th. And the Rail Riders took it 7-6 in that July 10th matchup. Then 4-0 Rail Riders on July 15th, as this is on a bounce to deep short. Gabriel Baker has a long throw, and it's in on a bounce for the first out. Spongberg does take third. And now Tanner Black with one down as Grease is retired on the grounder.
Yeah, that's a hard play right there by Gabriel Baker, but I want to put more emphasis on Spongberg right there, right off the bat. Even a lot of times, a lot of guys, right, if it's hit to the right side of them, they're told to stay put, stay put, stay put. Allow that ball to get thrown over to first. Don't try to get yourself out at third, but Spongberg right off the bat knew he had the speed and the confidence to take third, and no chance for Baker to try to cut off the lead runner.
That brings up Tanner Black, the center fielder. He takes upstairs ball one to finish the thought. The fourth meeting between the Rail Riders and Bombers was their first one back on June 12th. A 12-9 victory for the Rail Riders in a long back and forth affair on a hot afternoon, as there's a big cut and a miss from Black, 1-1.
There's that curveball, right? It's going to get a lot of spike, right? I don't want to say a knuckle curve type of move, but that's kind of what it looks like out of the hand. It's not going to pop out of the hand too much. That's what makes it really so difficult to look at.
Fouled straight back to the screen. It's 1-2. Tanner Black comes in with a batting average of 177, but he's up near the top of the order for that speed as Danny Spongberg needs his shoe tied or adjusted over there at third. We have a brief delay. Got to have your shoes in good condition if you're going to run that fast.
Yeah, I was gonna think that the dugout might be jabbing at him for having his coach help him out a little bit, but then I realized the mitt's on the left hand.
Wearing that big oven mitt to protect his fingers when he dives into bases, as it's 2-2. Shelton having to deal with a long inning here in the first. Two pitch to Black is hit in the air, center field. Let's see if Spongberg tests Braden Artzer. He does. Center fielder versus center fielder, and Spongberg is safe. 1-0 Bombers on the sacrifice fly as Tanner Black collects an RBI.
And again, that's a reason that we've seen Tanner Black consistently in this lineup. The speed, the team ABs, and the defense. The team AB right there. Exactly what you need, right? You don't need a base hit all the time that you need it, but you need some way to drive in that run. You have such speed, and Spongberg over there at third just lifted just enough, deep enough into the outfield to get him home.
And strike one to Nico Saul, the first baseman. Base is empty, 2 out. Tanner Black, that's his 10th RBI of the year. Oh, 1 to Saul is up and off the outside corner, 1-1 the count. It figures that Black should drive in a run on the sac fly. He has the highest fly ball rate on the team at 50%. So 1-1 to Saul is cut on and missed. Shelton going off speed away. He's ahead 1-2. Trying to limit the damage to 1 run and get out of this inning quickly. One, 2 to Nico Saul. He is lifted back foul. Spongberg singled to lead off the inning. And got to second on a wild pitch and to third on a grease ground out, and then Black got him in on the sac fly. That's upstairs to Saul, 2-2, and seeing some excellent discipline from this top of the Bombers order with 2 strikes against them. They are not going down in a hurry.
That's been an odd setup for Shelton, who's had a really long first inning, only averaging just about 16 pitches per inning. And somehow actually does it the same here, about 17 on this one.
Yep, Saul just standing at home plate. Can't believe it was ruled a strike on a pitch that was in the lower part of the zone, but he is out number 3. Bombers are off to a 1-0 lead over the Rail Riders as we head to the second inning here on the Corn Belt League Network. Whit Rogers leads off for the Rail Riders. Crowd favorite.
The top of the second inning for the Rail Riders. The
Rail Riders try and get things going off of Adam Egger, trailing by a run as the Bombers, like they always seem to do, get Danny Spanberg to lead it off. He uses his speed to take some extra bases and eventually comes in to score. And they're off to the early advantage in the first, as Rogers takes one low and away from Eggert, 4-1.
I mentioned Whit being a fan favorite. I think he's been one of the guys that have just shown off this Rail Riders team chemistry. Talking to Coach Francisco, that's been kind of one of the biggest strengths for this team, is this whole group just played very loose, had a lot of fun, gone out there and played baseball every day. And I think one of the biggest things that, when we talked to Whit Rogers after he was our player of the game a couple weeks ago, just like, hey, I got to go out there and play the greatest game on earth, and just enjoying himself each and every night he goes out there.
Fouled away, 2-1 the count on Rogers. Eggert needed 14 pitches to get through 4 batters in the first inning. He gave up a leadoff single to Braden Artzer, but then got 3 consecutive weekly hit groundouts. And now he's fallen behind Rogers 3-1 to lead off the second. Whit Rogers, the extra hitter. He'll be followed by the first baseman Liam Kaminsky and catcher Cedric Dunwald. And the 3-1 pitch is hit on the ground to short. Brennan Cascio has been busy, and he makes another play for the first out.
Just like our first game, outside again a little bit, one little mistake. We saw in the bottom of the first, both pitchers starting off very quickly and working to get pretty weak contact. That's what Eggert's been able to do. 4 ground outs now towards the left side of the infield. You mentioned Cassio's been busy with 3 of them. And also had one to Braden Olson.
Here's Liam Kaminsky out of Minnesota State Community College. Finished the regular season with a .250 batting average. As he takes one upstairs, ball 1. Very little wind tonight. Temperature right around 80 degrees. As it's now 2-0 on Kaminsky. Sun setting here as we approach dusk at JJ Isaacson Field. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow as Eggert fires low again, 3-0. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow with the 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock game how the sun factors in, because the 4 o'clock game, the sun was a huge issue in that Filth Ballers Red Raiders matchup yesterday. As it's 3-1 on Kaminsky.
Again, especially in that game, I think more so than just the sun. I think definitely the time change might be even a different factor. You're so used to these 5 and 8 p.m. games. A 2 and 5 matchup might switch things up a little bit.
High chopper over third turns into a base hit for Liam Kaminsky. He's aboard with 1 out. And now the catcher, Cedric Dunwald, as the Rail Riders have singled in each of the first 2.
Again, both innings, Eggert's allowed a base runner, but again, not too much consistent contact. Little flare from Archer back in the first, then the ground ball through the left side by Kaminsky. And it's going to come down to, can you bring guys through for the Rail Riders here today? We mentioned a really good pitching matchup between these two. Just who can get those small things, find ways to drive in runs.
0-1 the count on Dunwald as he chops one foul, 0-2. Dunwald still yet to figure out Bombers pitching this year. He's 0 for 11 with 3 strikeouts, has driven in a run and has scored a run against the Bombers this year, but looking for that first base hit and trying to create some trouble for Adam Eggert in the second inning. 0-2 pitch is low and away. 1-2. Kaminsky at first base. Has decent speed, 2 stolen bags on the year. One-two to Dunwald. Is just off the plate, 2-2.
Eggert has really lived on that outer half the majority of the day. We started off in that first inning where he really attacked the inside. You saw kind of the flare from Artster was a ball that was kind of jammed a little bit. Then both with Enertson and Baker, 2 really broken bat type of balls. But now in the second, living a lot more on the outer half right there with the backdoor curveball.
Remains 2-2 on Dunwald. DH Ben Raveling is on deck. Again, Rail Riders going with a 10-man batting order tonight. Bombers with just 9. As that is a rocket right back into the glove of Eggert, and it's a double play. How about that? A liner right to the glove, and it turns into 2 outs, and that is how the second inning ends. We go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Bombers at JJ Isaacson Field.
Casio.
1-0 Bombers, bottom of the second inning. Brennan Casio leads it off as the 5, 6, and 7 hitters go to work against Austin Shelton, Rail Riders' starting pitcher. And he gets a big cut and a miss, strike 1 to Casio, the shortstop.
And Casio hitting .333 this season. Again, a really good, consistent hitter out of the middle of the order. One guy that was a hitter of the week candidate for multiple times between him, Nordine, Braden Olson. That's what he can do at times. That's what you need in a game like this, just little flares to get you guys on base.
Yeah, he bloops one into shallow center field, and 3 Rail Riders converge at second to make sure the bag is covered. Ends up being a single for Casio, and
Now batting.
Bombers have led off each of the first 2 innings with a base knock.
Yeah, definitely kind of a different scenario, but a lot of times, especially on doubles, right, you see usually normal doubles or sometimes even close play doubles, you're going to have that first baseman, Kaminsky, kind of trail a little bit behind Brennan Casio, right? Sometimes you can set up that double cut play in the outfield, and your first baseman really where the first base is not needed, Kaminsky can go over to second.
Another base hit, this one to left field off the bat of Gage Julin. Goes first pitch hunting and puts 2 on with nobody out for the second baseman Kyle Weber, and Austin Shelton might have to take a moment here and
number 69, Joey Burrill.
survey the situation and
Now batting,
lock
the
back
second
in here. Can't let this
baseman,
game get away from him
number
too
3,
early.
Kyle Weber.
Kyle Weber digs in. Joey Burrill pinch runs for Julin, the catcher, at first base. And that is low, ball 1.
Weber possibly thinking about putting a bunt down there. I don't mind that idea. Again, Weber hitting .300 this season, so a pretty consistent guy with 15 RBIs, but a game like this, you're much more comfortable with nobody out to make sure that you have 2 guys in scoring position.
Throw to second. Casio back safely. 1 ball, no strikes on Weber, who was showing the bunt before the pitch was even thrown, so a clear sacrifice situation here. And there it is again. And he pops it up and is caught by the first baseman, Kaminsky, coming all the way down the line. What great anticipation. Normally we talk about outfielders getting a jump on the ball, but the infielder, Kaminsky, makes the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, Kaminsky was on a dead sprint right after he saw Weber at least showing the bunt. I would have shouted a little bit Austin Shelton going straight full belly on the ground after Kaminsky was thinking about throwing to second, having a little bit of a laugh after that one. But a really good play right there by Kaminsky. Again, that's the first out you kind of need. And Weber, a guy that doesn't have too much consistency or at least too many experiences this season with the sack bunt, popped it up a little bit. And those are things that, again, I think is really lost in the game a lot of these days, is the ability to consistently put down sack bunts. So many guys don't practice that in BP, and when you get to a game scenario, you have things like that happen to where you don't quite normally know how to put down a true bunt.
High chopper to short off the bat of Braden Olson, and the throw is there for the out. Nearly a high throw from Baker. Kaminsky kept his foot down on the bag. Both runners move up. So now second and third with 2 away for the DH 9-hitter Cole Nordine.
And Nordine, another guy in this Bombers order who's been a pretty consistent guy. Even out of the 9 spot was our hitter of the week in the shortened week in between July, going into the July 4th weekend. And he's been a pretty consistent batter to the left side. We talk about P.J. Laux and a couple of the guys for the Rail Riders kind of being secondary leadoff guys. Cole Nordine here in the 9 spot's kind of the same type of setup for the Bombers.
344 batting average. That leads the team, as does his on-base percentage at 475 and a 500 average with runners in scoring position, and he's got 2 of them out there, with 2 down in the inning. 1 ball, no strikes. Shelton's pitch off the plate, 2-0.
And a big thing for Nordine as well, you talk about the ability to hit well with runners in scoring position. Nordine just allowed, or really left out there, 10 guys on the base paths. That's been somewhat a problem for the Bombers this season, how many guys they've just given out there after up at the plate. They've had over 3 guys with 20-plus guys given up.
And there's a wild pitch getting away from Dunwald, and Cassio comes down the line to score. And Nordine doesn't even have to swing the bat, and it's 2-0 on the wild pitch.
Devastating small things. We mentioned it's playoff baseball. How much are those things going to amplify in a game like this? And when you're going up against a guy like Adam Eggert, who's already been able to have an incredible season, arguably the best pitcher in the league, having those small things on the other hand can be devastating.
3-1 on Nordine, and how about the switch he flipped going from June to July? In June, he had an OPS of 583, and in July went 7 for 12 with an OPS north of 1,400, but he swings through that one 3-2, so almost a 900-point difference from June to July. 3-2 pitch. Shelton working quickly, but it's fouled back.
And if you're Shelton right here, even with the base open, I wouldn't be too comfortable with Spongberg in the top of the order coming back up. You need to make sure that you get Cole Nordine out on these next couple pitches.
And that is strike 3. He went around. Call made by the home plate umpire. That strands Burrell at third base, but the Bombers get another one. They've scored in each of the first 2 innings, and they take a 2-0 lead into the third on the Corn Belt League Network. Top of the third inning, Bombers 2, Rail Riders nothing in our fourth and final quarterfinal matchup in the Corn Belt League Postseason. Tyler Reidy and Jaden Taylor with you on the CBL Network. Beautiful Friday night as Adam Eggert fires strike one to Ben Ravelin. 8, 9, and 10 hitters due up for the Rail Riders in the third.
Yeah, and these next two innings I think are a real big piece for the Rail Riders. You need something to answer back. Doesn't have to be the lead, but I think some kind of pressure you have to put on Eggert these next two batters.
Oh, Nico Saul showing off his vertical leap as he gets in the air and makes the catch on a liner that was ticketed for the right field corner. And Ben Ravelin, with some tough luck, makes the first out. Garrett Globe will step in.
Yeah, those are going to be so frustrating, right? You feel that you really got the barrel, put a ball the opposite way, and possibly might have extra bases. But the already tall Nico Saul shows off the hops a little bit to get that first out.
Up and away, ball one to Garrett Globe. And having a long-limbed first baseman can do so much for you. Stretching out, fielding balls thrown from other infielders on close plays at first, and of course having the quick reflexes, getting up in the air, making diving stops. It's a huge difference. The 1-1 pitch to Garrett Globe. He's cut on and missed. Off speed from Eggert. And Globe well out in front of it for a 1-2 count.
That's a time here if you're Eggert. I think you go to the curveball here and able to find it pretty consistent. Maybe look backdoor here against Globe.
Here it comes, and it's low and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Globe, a .256 hitter in the regular season. OPS just above 700, and went 2 for 2 with a double and a walk in his final game of the regular season, but he grounds this one right back to Eggert, who's been using the glove quite often early on in this one, and he throws him out. 2 away now in the third.
Now talk about locked in right there. Back-to-back innings where a comeback comes straight at him, and right there ready for it was Eggert. And he's just been really in his zone so far. This is what Eggert's done all season long. Talking before the game, again, really at the start of the year, a lot of guys in the pitching staff, you don't always know who's going to be your number one, no matter what, what kind of stats you had at whatever college you go to. Going into the year, a lot of different guys could have been the number one really it was between him as well as Zane Layden, but talking to him, once he really knew and felt confident that he was going to be the number one, he really switched his approach up. A lot more off-speed was his approach after those first couple outings.
And Braden Olson makes a play for the third out on P.J. Louts. 1-2-3 inning for Adam Eggert. And it's all Bombers early on. 2-0 to the bottom of the third on the Corn Belt League Network. Good crowd on hand taking in some Friday night playoff baseball at JJ Isaacson Field. Bombers lead the Rail Riders 2-0 in the 4 versus 5 quarterfinal matchup. Tyler Reidy and Jaden Taylor with you. And Danny Spawnberg at the top of the Bombers order, leading off the bottom of the third after their offense scored 1 in the first and 1 in the second.
I think this is going to be a real defining moment these next 2 or 3 innings for Austin Shelton. How can he go through this lineup the second time through the order. I mean, you talk about so much when you've already seen a guy, right, even with a 5-pitch arsenal that we've seen majority of this season, for Shelton, it can be a different kind of experience. The numbers go up, so if Shelton can figure a way to bear down and get through this top of the order, it's going to be a lot better of a night.
To right center field, Sponberg will run for a while as it's down and up against the wall. He hit that tremendously well, and he is going to stop at third with a leadoff triple in the third inning. What a shot by Sponberg. That ball had some serious carry to right center field.
And I think he was maybe even thinking about putting it inside the Parker there. He was hustling around third. Austin Alexander maybe won't him down a little to make sure he's stayed in that triple. But man, Sponberg, a play like that, a lot of different guys, slower guys in the middle of the order, that's going to be a double. But with a really, I don't want to say too efficient route from Artster, was going to be a hard play either way to get to it. But a really beautiful job by Sponberg to put on the wheels and get himself to third.
Chopper in front of the plate by James Grease. The throw to first is in time, and look at Sponberg with the aggressive base running to score.
He knew it right away. He set himself very well to make sure that Shelton was going to go to first, and right as Shelton's head moved towards first base, Sponberg was off, headed to home. Beautiful piece of base running right there. That is why he is the most dangerous man in the base pass. No matter what type of setup, no matter what inning, he figures a way to bring in a run.
So Sponberg now 2 for 2, a single, a triple, and 2 runs. His 7th multi-hit game of the year, his 9th multi-run game of the season. Swinging strike one to Tanner Black, and the funny thing is James Grease gets an RBI on that, even though he tapped the ball only a few feet in front of home plate. With any other base runner, that's a routine out at first, and they're staying at third, but not Danny Sponberg as it's 0-2 on Black.
That reminded me kind of like that, you being a Royals fan. That reminded me of that Hosmer. Yes, that's what it reminded me of.
The Lucas Duda throw wide. Yep, Game 5 of the World Series. Just to fill you in on that, it was a 2-1 Mets lead in the 9th inning. Hosmer was at third as the tying run with, I think, 1 out, and Salvador Perez grounded to third base. David Wright looked Hosmer back and then threw to first, and Hosmer came down the line immediately after the throw, and Lucas Duda threw wide, but Austin Shelton thrown in the strike zone. He gets Tanner Black looking for his third K.
The first baseman.
Yeah, 2 of those 3 Ks were really looking, and a lot of times they're kind of guessing a little bit. Both Black as well as Nico Saul, 2 of the 3 strikeouts here today were really beautifully painted off speed in the outer half.
Now Nico Saul, his first strikeout victim to end the first inning. There's a dropped pitch by Dunwald, ball 1. It was an off-speed up. Bombers with a run in the first, a run in the second, a run in the third, and each of them have come from leadoff base runners. Sponberg a single in the first, Casio a single in the second, and Sponberg a triple to begin this third inning as it's 2-0 on Saul.
I'm not sure what it is, but Shelton has definitely not seemed truly himself here today. Just kind of leaving some balls too far over the middle of the plate. And you add those big things with those singles and guys getting on base, plus with the Bombers' ability to make that even worse of a setup, really kind of causes some havoc, especially throughout the entire order here for the Bombers.
2-2 the count on Saul. So one pitch he struggles with, that off-speed away. Shelton hit the spot there. Now the 2-2. Way upstairs. Again out of the glove of Dunwald, 3-2.
Dunwald having a little bit of a challenging night behind home plate. A true pass ball type of setup. 2 balls that had kind of gotten away from him. And the wild pitch was definitely not his fault, but still an issue for him a little bit nonetheless.
Saul takes the walk. And Shelton was already halfway to the first base line thinking it was strike 3. He got a similar call on a pitch down to end the first inning to strike out Nico Saul. Remember, Saul was standing at home plate in disbelief, but that time Saul gets the benefit of the call, and that extends the inning to Casio.
Yeah, that bottom of the strike zone has been somewhat inconsistent by the home plate umpire. We've seen that back and forth calls a couple different times, both with Eggert and Shelton. We'll see what Brennan Casio can do for it. Again, as a pitcher, you're kind of not being yourself. 3 runs here in the first 3 innings up against Shelton. Sometimes that can be really frustrating, and it's really hard to be able to go back and reset yourself to still be able to attack.
Chopped foul by Casio. It's 1-1.
And Casio, a guy that who's really worked this 5 spot, so you're going to expect it a lot more with so many chances. The guys in front of you are going to get on a lot more. But he has a team worst 49 guys he's left on the base pass throughout this season. So a guy that's, has a lot of chances with guys in the base pass, so it's going to be obvious that the number is going to be a little bit higher. But again, maybe a chance here to possibly put something in the outfield. And still with a pretty speedy Nico Saul, even at his height. Let's see if we can move him around.
And he did not go around on a slider low and away. The appeal to the umpire at second base, 3-1. Casio singled to lead off the second and came around to score on a wild pitch. 3-1 the count. Nico Saul at first. He has 8 stolen bases in 11 attempts on the year. 3-1 pitch. That is inside. And like it got a piece of him as the home plate umpire calls for time. So hit by pitch. Would have been ball 4 anyway. 2 on, 2 out now for Gage Julin, the catcher.
Yeah, Coach Francisco is going to go out and talk to Shelton a little bit. I think you definitely have to get somebody up in the bullpen here if you're the Rail Riders. And Coach Francisco really wanted to make sure that they could possibly save Garrett Vosica for tomorrow up against the Filth Ballers if they could win here tonight. But in a situation like this, I think with Shelton not quite being himself, you got to see your other options here soon if Shelton doesn't figure a way out of this final scenario.
Well, the only action going on in the Rail Riders bullpen right now is a young fan, and we'd assume their parents walking around by the 2 home plates. But conference on the mound with Shelton, who has had an outing with a word that I think you've mentioned a couple times and is a perfect way to describe it, just uncharacteristic for him. Pitch count has not been in a great spot. He's allowed lead-off base runners left and right, and several wild pitches already. Some of that has to do with Dunwald behind the plate, but when he has missed badly a few times. Now Gage Julin, the catcher, who singled in the second.
Yeah, and it's one piece. Again, you might not always have your best stuff when you get knocked up a little bit, right? When you get a lot of big hard hits that go into the outfield and stuff like that. But it's more dangerous and a little bit more worrisome, right? When you're giving up a lot of walks and not able to find the zone very consistently. And that's what's been happening these last couple of at-bats. So again, there's different time frames to possibly take out a guy, but when he's not able to find the zone consistently, that's a time to maybe seed other options.
Foul ball toward third, 0-2 the count on Julin. Nico Saul at second, Brennan Casio, the base runner, at first. To the count to the Bombers catcher. Already 1 run home in this third inning. 3 runs on 4 hits for the Bombers. There's the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Julin chases upstairs, and he's the third out, but the Bombers score again. They have 1 run in each of the first 3 innings, and they take a 3-0 lead, 2-4. Postseason baseball on the Corn Belt League Network. back here at JJ Isaacson Field. We'd like to remind you that the Northeast Athletic Department is currently seeking businesses for the 2022 Hawks Boosters Corporate Sponsorship Campaign. Email Jarrett Mills at jmills2@northeast.edu for more information to become a part of the Northeast Athletic Department team today. And young fans have been out and about on this Friday night, and well, we might have a future Corn Belt League ball player in the making. Got a great arm, working on their swings down there with the tee. Gotta love it.
Gotta love baseball, right? Such a beautiful moment. I mean, those are the kind of memories that you have with your parents at times. That's what brings so many people into the game of baseball, right? Just being able to go have fun, going out to a baseball field on a summer night, beautiful night. That's what brought me to baseball in a big way. And I know it's brought a lot of guys to baseball. Just beautiful summer nights to wear and throw a little puff ball or any other kind of baseball that you have. It's a game that brings a lot of people together and a lot of fun here this season here in the Corn Belt League.
There's a chopper to deep short. No chance for Cassio to make a play. And Braden Artzer is 2 for 2, another base hit. And once again, he's on to lead off. He did it in the first inning with a leadoff single, and now again in the fourth.
Yeah, both leadoff hitters are 2 for 2 here today, and both two guys are combined 0 for 3 between the two teams today. So we'll see if Gabriel Baker can kind of go outside of that theme and try to put something up against Adam Eggert here. This is a big spot, personally, for the Rail Riders. You're down 3. You need some way to chip away. Put some kind of pressure on here. I think you need at least one up against Eggert here to feel a little bit more comfortable.
Ball 1 to Gabriel Baker, 0 for 1 with a ground out. It's Garrett Vosica warming up in the Rail Rider bullpen, a left-hander. And that one just upstairs to Baker, 2-0. Rail Riders would love to get something going in this fourth inning and at least start chipping away at this deficit before time starts running out on them. Still 4 innings remaining, but it goes quickly, especially when you're facing an ace like Adam Eggert.
And here's the odd thing to think about if they put in Vosica, right? The Filth Ballers, again, they're going to be the team that one of these two teams see after today, right? And you talk about, again, who could be the pitcher that is able to take it down, a team like the Filth Ballers. I think we both mentioned in the podcast going forward, last couple games of the season, right? What's going to be the way to be able to take down the Filth Ballers? It had to be a really close game. And Garrett Vosica, as well as Adam Eggert, have truly kind of been the kryptonite a little bit of the Filth Ballers this year. Adam Eggert, in his first outing up against the Filth Ballers, a complete game shutout, a one-hitter at a perfect game through 6 innings. And Garrett Vosica, the 2 wins up against Filth Ballers this season, both have been with him on the mound. So, again, maybe neither of them available for tomorrow.
3-1 the count on Baker. Artzer, a tremendous speed threat over at first base. Got to keep an eye on him. He has 15 stolen bags on the year, and there's another strike. That's a second time now. Baker has taken a strike and started moving toward first base, thinking it was ball 4.
Yeah, I think that second one was definitely a lot more set up than that first one. Easily a strike on that outer half. Really beautifully painted fastball. Eggert's been really working well.
And that is in the air, out behind second base. Not easy to see with the color of the sky at the moment, but it is caught by the second baseman Weber for out number 1.
Those are honestly some of the hardest plays as a middle infielder, right? Especially with the really set blue sky. A lot of people can see, okay, you're going to be able to see the shadows, but sometimes with the lighting here, it was really hard to see. For me, I couldn't even see it once it got past the trees up here in the bullpen, or up here in the press box, but going to be kind of hard to see those type of plays. Really good job by Weber over there at second to make that play.
There's strike 1 to Derek Enertson. That's a great idea. We should call a game from the bullpen.
That'd be fun.
That'd be interesting.
I'd be up for that. Need 300 foot of XLR cord to do it.
Yep. 0-1 the count on Derek Enertson.
I mean, pro groups do it. You're seeing like in stance and stuff.
Oh, look at this. They got Artzer picked off, but he might beat the throw. He does. Eggert to Saul to Cassio covering from shortstop, and Artzer ends up with a stolen base as the pickoff move worked, but not in time to get the speedy center fielder.
Now Cassio had to come a really long way, really playing deeper in that 5-6 hole to come back across, but Archer, that's the kind of mentality you have to have, right? A lot of times, coaches, base running coaches will tell you, right, if you seem to get picked off, the first movement is when you have to go. And I think Archer was really set up to steal on that pitch. So even with the first movement and Eggert going back to first, Archer had the speed and the momentum to set himself up and just barely get past the ball over there at second.
1-1 the count on Derek Enertson. And he takes one that crossed up the catcher but got in for a strike. Good awareness by the home plate umpire to still make the right call despite the ball being dropped. A lot of times we'll see a pitch even right down the middle be called for a ball because it was dropped. The home plate umpire kind of takes their attention off the pitch itself, but not in this case. 1-2. Eggert's pitch is on the outside corner for strike 3 called.
There's that backdoor curveball. I think the two guys that I think have the best backdoor curveballs in this entire league is Anthony Comfort, who we saw last night, and then right here with Adam Eggert. I think probably a close third is probably Cole Warner, who we saw earlier here today. But that's the biggest thing a lot of times to righties, right? When you're that lefty type of guy, the ball's going to come out, and out of the hand, it loops a little bit, and it's going to look like it's in the middle of the other's batter's box, but it just loops back in and barely touches that outer half. Just a beautiful pitch to be able to work with, especially to lefty. I think a guy at the pro level that does that really well as Clayton Kershaw. And that type of curveball that is just so devastating, truly a Hall of Fame style curveball, and he can dot that up just incredibly well in the outer half.
1-2 the count on A.J. Urban. He grounded out to short to end the first inning. Rosica has stopped warming up, gone back to the dugout for the Rail Riders. Austin Shelton at 60 pitches through 3 as there's a ground ball back up off the mound, and it goes into center field. That will score Archer from second base as Black fumbles around with it in shallow center. It ends up being an RBI single for A.J. Urban, and I think if he had thrown that ball, he wouldn't have been able to place it any better.
Yeah, I don't understand why Cal Weber actually went after that ball. I mean, that ball going straight up the middle, that's easily Brennan Cassio's ball. He's got the momentum headed to first, but a little bit miscommunication. You saw Weber right there. Definitely not happy with himself, talking with his shortstop in Cassio, and the miscommunication on that ball. But again, I mentioned it. The Rail Riders needed at least one run here to keep themselves back comfortable, and whether they go Vosica or Shelton the rest of the way, this is exactly what the offense needed. Find some way to get Adam Eggert a little bit on his heels.
Strike 1 to Whit Rogers. Grounded out to short in the second inning, and again, Eggert locating that outside corner very well to the right-hand hitters as it's 0-2.
And he'll take that. He will take that any day of the week. That's a hard borderline call in that outer half, but the home plate umpire has been calling it pretty often.
Rogers fouls it away. Still 0-2. Eggert picked up his first strikeout of the evening earlier in this fourth inning to Derek Enertson. 1 run home for the Haymakers on Rail Riders on Urban's RBI single. 0-2 to Whit Rogers, and he fouls it away again.
Really good job right now by Rogers to keep fouling some balls away. He's gotten 3 different backdoor curveballs just in this AB alone. He's done a really good job just kind of slapping it away. And none of those swings are really swings to try to put a hit on it. They're just swings to keep him alive, give him another pitch.
Time called. Still 0-2. Huge bird just flew right in front of us in the press box. I don't know if it was a hawk or what. But anyway, ready to go at the 0-2 now. And it's foul tipped right back into the glove of Gage Doolin. Eggert strikes out 2 in the fourth inning, but surrenders a run. It's 3-1 Bombers headed to the bottom of the fourth. Back here in the fourth inning. Hey, there's our cameraman Alex Sejan down the first base line. We get a look at the kid continuing to hone their skills there in the Rail Rider bullpen. Been at it for a while.
About getting a full bullpen in.
Yeah, that baseball's almost the size of their head, but yeah, no problem. We've seen the great arm, we've seen the swing. Looking great down there. And
it's not always about the size of the head of the ball. It's always about the size of the heart.
Absolutely.
The heart you got in a kid.
That's great, yes. No doubt about it.
Good 80s baseball cheesy moments. That's what you love to see.
So now it is Kyle Weber. 7, 8, 9 hitters do it for the Bombers as they lead 3-1. A run in the first, a run in the second, a run in the third. However, the Rail Riders answer with one in the fourth. And Weber takes one low and away, ball one from Austin Shelton, who remains in the game. We saw Garrett Vosica getting warm earlier, but Shelton at 60 pitches through 3 innings, grinding away, trying to keep his team in the ball game.
Yeah, I think this has got to be a short leash, and really the only reason I think he's coming back out here is the fact that the Rail Riders were able to add on their first run of the ball game. Again, you see this frustration right there. Shelton has just not gotten a lot of the calls that he feels he's needed. He's fallen behind in the count very often today.
High strike call on an off-speed pitch. 2-1 the count on Weber. He'll be followed by Braden Olson and Cole Nordine at the bottom of the order. Out in front of it, pulled foul back toward the Bomber dugout, and it's 2-2.
Thank you for Shelton here again. I mentioned a little bit the likely short leash that they would give Shelton these next couple of innings, however long he keeps going. This is a big opportunity to get a strikeout, get one for himself, get some confidence back.
High chopper. Weber runs well. That's a tough play, but look at the cannon from short. Gabriel Baker. And a nice job by Kaminsky at first base to stay on the bag with the throw a little wide, but boy, that was some gas behind that one to get the out.
Yeah, that is called a showcase type of throw up the middle. A lot of times you see in those perfect game showcases and PBR showcases, guys just rear back to make that play, but Baker, even on the run, is able to do that. That just shows off the athleticism that Baker has over there at short.
And now a first pitch strike to Braden Olson, the third baseman. He grounded out to short in the second inning. Shelton working quickly, but he fires outside, 1-1. Really leaning on that off-speed stuff to begin inning number 4. There's the 1-1 to Olson. Up and away. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Again, Shelton just is, we mentioned, just a little bit uncharacteristic, right? The usual ability to throw the ball in the zone very consistently, over 65% this season, but this has not been there here today.
There's another high strike call on the upper outside corner, 2-2.
I think I'd like to see Shelton still attack here. Maybe try to work that 2-seamer back in, try to get him to chase a little bit in the inner half for Olson.
And strike 3 called. Olson taking 3 strikes, and he goes down looking. The 5th K for Austin Shelton, and now the 9-hitter Cole Nordine with 2 down.
This is a really good bounce-back inning for Austin Shelton so far. Again, only 2 outs here in this inning, so still some chances here for the bottom, then top of the order after that, but we'll see what they can quite do here.
First pitch, swung on and missed, strike 1 to Cole Nordine. Shelton with his 5th strikeout. Nordine was the second of the 5 victims. And there's 1-1 on Nordine now. Left-hand hitter. Will be followed by Danny Spomberg, who is having a big night already. And a foul tip into the glove of Cedric Dunwald. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You got to go back to that curveball. Here, if you're Shelton, figure a way to get him to chase, especially when you have a couple pitches to waste.
He's been leaving it up in the zone. It's been finding the strike zone. That's the 1-2 pitch. Looks like he did go off speed, but it's hit on a bounce to short. And yet again, Gabriel Baker makes the play. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Austin Shelton. Good work to throw a shutdown frame after his offense got a run, and now the Rail Riders will go back to work at the plate, trailing by 2 on the Corn Belt League Network. Back here in the 5th inning, we continue to watch our top prospect in the Corn Belt League. Just saw them throw the bat. Not sure if they disagreed with a strike 3 call, but swinging away, getting their hacks in. Always got to keep improving, and Rail Riders trying to improve their chances to get back into this one. They got 1 in the 4th, and then 1-2-3 inning from their starter, Austin Shelton, and now they put the leadoff man on as Liam Kaminsky is hit by a pitch. The first one of the inning from Adam Eggert.
Again, maybe a little bit of a different setup these last 2 innings. Eggert quite hasn't seemed as consistent with his command, especially on the outer half of these last couple innings. The backdoor curveball has been very good, but he's been leaving his fastball a little bit too much over the plate. An odd hit by pitch right there. We'll see how Eggert can answer back, maybe try to get a ground ball double play here up the middle.
And there's a high fly ball deep left field off the bat of Cedric Dunwald, and it's off the wall on the fly. Going to third, Kaminsky. He'll come around, and the cutoff throw is missed. And Dunwald is into third with an RBI double. 3-2 ball game, and the tying run 90 feet away. That ball was absolutely smoked.
Yeah, off the bat, I thought that one was getting out of here. What a pick-me-up swing right there by Cedric Dunwald to send that one all the way to the wall over James Grease. And it's a new ball game just like that.
And now Ben Raveling with the pinch runner going to third.
From Midland University, number 66, Spencer Lehman.
Spencer Lehman. First pitch, strike 1 to Ben Raveling. He hit a ball hard his first time up, a liner toward right field, but Nico Saul leaped up in the air and caught it for the first out of the 3rd inning. 1 pitch, wave and a miss, 0-2.
Entire defense is in here. You talk about character, sometimes you give up some missed pitches, but you show character when you can figure a way to keep your team in this. How do you respond when you get punched in the mouth?
Inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Infield is drawn in with the runner at third. Olson, Casio, Weber, Saul from third to first.
Tanner Black out there in center is really shaded more towards right field, so he can put it in the left center gap.
But it's popped up. Let's see if it stays in play. Rail Rider dugout getting out of the way, and Saul caught it. Leaning back toward the line as the ball spun back away from him toward fair territory. He made the catch as he fell over, and that's out number 1.
Wow, talking about some athletic plays that we've seen from Nico Saul here tonight, having to stretch the ladder, get some hops back a couple innings ago and a line drive to him, and then right there, that's a really hard play because you have to range around. It's coming really right underneath you. And honestly, the ranging is probably the easiest part. The hardest part's really where you're camping under. Can't quite tell with that ball moving back and forth where exactly it's going to fall. But a really big first out right there by Nico Saul. And maybe a little bit more comfortable of a spot here from Adam Eggert. Still just one out, but a chance here to keep it a one-run lead.
Quickly 0-2 on Garrett Globe. Rail Riders cannot afford to leave Lehman stuck at third. He got there with nobody out on the RBI double and advance on the throw from Cedric Dunwald. The 0-2 pitch to Globe. And it is cut on and miss. Throw gets away. Lehman coming down the line, and he's out. Julin got to the ball quickly, pouncing on it and flipping to Eggert. And they get Lehman coming down the third base line. And Globe reaches on the strikeout, but the one-run lead is preserved.
Wow, what an odd play. Drop third strike that gets a little bit away from Julin. What a beautiful flip right there just to be able to get it underneath, flip over to Eggert. And a really good job by Eggert understanding that he needed to get home quickly. A dead sprint after that ball got away from Julin. And then you mentioned how devastating it could be to leave that runner over there at third. A good thought by Lehman. He got really far enough away from Julin with his speed to be able to get there, but really just a perfect little flip over to Eggert, just barely in time.
High strike one to second baseman PJ Laux. Up and away 1-1, and you always wonder on a play like that if it's better off to fake as if you're coming down the line and then stop up and go back to third to get the catcher Julin to commit to you and allow Globe to easily reach first, but Lehman felt confident he can make it, going all the way, but out by a mile as it's now 2-1 on Laux.
And Lehman does have that speed, but he got a pretty good jump too. It was a little bit cautious, but again, just athleticism by Julin behind home plate to be able to get that flip perfectly in time. Be able to stop any kind of chance for Eggert.
Throw back down to first is late as it's now 2-2. Globe the runner over there. PJ Laux trying to keep the inning going. The Rail Riders have to at least be satisfied with getting one and drawing back within a run, still with 7 outs remaining against them. As the 2-2 pitch, fouled back off either the catcher or the umpire. Still 2-2 on Laux. Top of the order, Braden Archer up next.
Yeah, talking to Eggert coming into this game, he's really being confident with all 3 of his pitches, but so far here on 2 strike counts, Eggert has lived with that backdoor curveball, very consistent with that pitch. Again, the Rail Riders haven't been able to do much with it.
Thought about it, but Laux lays off, and it's 3-2. Globe will be running from first. Full count, tying run on base. 3-2 to Laux. Is hit in the air, foul territory. Nico Saul has an easier play this time, and he makes the catch. But the Rail Riders scratch across another, and they're within a run going to the bottom of the 5th inning. It's 3-2 Bombers on the Corn Belt League Network. Bottom of the 5th inning, Bombers 3, Rail Riders 2, and it's time for our mandatory dog shot of the night. And being told that's Braden Olson's dog, Braden Olson of the Bombers. Having some fun out there in the grass.
There is one thing that you know every single time is going to be on the screen when you commentate, Tyler. It's going to be a dog at some point. Dog lovers are the best. That's the way to live it.
You got that 100% right as Danny Spanberg leads off for the Bombers. Spanberg 2 for 2, a single, a triple, and a pair of runs scored. And he holds up. No, he does not. He goes around on the first pitch. Call made by the home plate umpire. It's strike one on that slider down and away.
There's some kind of back and forth calls that some of the guys, specifically the Bombers, haven't liked too much, especially on the outer half. They've been able to adjust pretty well. Both the pitchers have dealt pretty well. I want to say it's been a bigger zone for pitchers, even though it kind of has. Just hasn't been quite as consistent as a lot of guys have liked it.
Quickly 0-2 on Spanberg. He steps out of the box again. And now ready to go, and it's that off-speed pitch in the dirt, kicking away. 1-2 the count.
And we talked yesterday with Ty Beasley going up against the Filth Ballers. I said each and every single time, don't give Ty Beasley a fastball. Like here against Danny Spanberg, Shelton, don't give him a fastball.
And it's that off-speed again, pulled down the line, and it goes right through Urbon at third base, and Spanberg will turn it into a two-bagger of some sorts. Whether it's an error or a hit, we will soon find out, but he's in scoring position again.
The small things are just going to amplify. You say it so many different times in games like this. That's the guy that you just can't give it to, right? I mean, there's other guys on this team that have some speed but don't have a ton that you can give that up to an extent, but that is the absolute worst guy that you can make a mistake on, especially on a little ground ball in the infield. You got the pitch you wanted. If you're Shelton, you got him to miss. You got him out in front on the curveball, and you got the chopper you needed, but I think Urbon trying to show off a little bit in the backhand very well could have just had that straight up and had a good strong throw to first, even with the speedy Spanberg. Now runner in scoring positions, the Bombers have a chance to add on some more insurance.
From the looks of it, it looks like that'll be a double for Spanberg, so that puts him a home run away from the cycle. Might not be official yet, but it'll be an interesting development. 2-0 the count on James Grease, the left fielder. He's 0 for 2, has driven in a run. And he gets jammed, chops it back behind the plate, foul ball, 2-1. Spanberg has already scored 2 of the 3 Bombers runs, once in the first, again in the third. Casio scored the other one in the second inning. Yet again, we have a close ball game in the quarterfinals. And that is way inside, and that got him on the hand. That is the worst place to get hit other than the head, but the home plate umpire is going to pull back. Yeah, he's going to keep him in the box here. He was showing bunt and couldn't pull it back in time. So 2-2.
Yeah, the wrist injuries, especially as a hitter, honestly the most annoying. I'm going to see here after this, especially a play like that. He's still trying to go out to the second base umpire to try to plead his case a little bit. The second base umpire is going to have honestly a better look at that to see if he pulled back or not, but
well, he's going to stay up there.
Might have to swing with just his front hand.
He's dealing with a 2-2 count. This is the second time tonight we've seen a questionable hit by pitch, foul ball, swinging strike situation. Saw it with Spanberg earlier when he singled in the first at bat of the night for him. And that hit down the left field line has been officially ruled a double for Danny Spanberg as Grease fouls one straight back, still 2-2.
I can see a little grimace right there by James Grease on that swing. Putting everything he could on that one. But man, that left wrist is really, that right wrist has really got to be hurting Grease right now. You can see it.
Taking time.
Grimacing a little bit. Try to just hang on to it. See even some frustration, some anger on that one.
Taking plenty of time between pitches here. As the 2-2 fouled back again. Gotta give Grease credit for staying up there and continuing the battle against Austin Shelton. Trying to get Sponberg home from second to restore the 2-run lead. Another 2-2 pitch. Hit high in the air. Shallow left center. It'll be Enertson making the catch, and no advance from Sponberg, 1 down.
You got to give some credit to Grease right there. Able to work another long AB. And Shelton
Now batting,
up
the
here
center
80
fielder
pitches.
from Doane University, number 42, Tanner
Here through
Black.
4 1/3. And that's the situation now. Again, how long do you want to go with Shelton? How comfortable you can be? And I think if you're Coach Francisco, you'd be a little bit more comfortable with him now that it's a 1-run ball game, but still going to be a short leash.
Well, Vosika's been sitting in the dugout for a couple innings now. We haven't seen him back out there since he started warming up in the second and third. As that is ball 1 to Tanner Black, the center fielder. Black 0 for 1, a sac fly to drive in Sponberg in the first, and a strikeout looking in the third. 1-0 pitch, that one in for a strike. Just about the same pitch, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, back-to-back curveballs. I think that one got a little bit more away from Tanner Black, more in the middle part of the play. The first one's a little bit inside. It's definitely a borderline call either way.
Upstairs, 2-1. Nico Saul, the first baseman, on deck. Still haven't seen Danny Sponberg attempt to steal yet. He hasn't had many opportunities with the wild pitches and the triple tonight. He's got a healthy lead off second. But he is going back. Shelton turns around before the 2-1 pitch.
Shelton's done a really good job of making sure that Sponberg stays back there at second. A lot of times as a guy out there at second, you're trying to see how many looks he gives, right? How many looks he gives back to second. Shelton's been mixing them really well.
And he goes right at Tanner Black, who swings through it, 2-2. Black on the season, runners in scoring position, hitting .250. So not the best option, but anything can happen with his speed. Ball looking from Shelton, and he brings Sponberg back to second again. Now comes set with the 2-2. Sponberg runs, swing and a miss. Throw down to third is on a bounce. It hits Sponberg, goes into foul territory, and here he comes to score the run. And base running and speed creates havoc again as Danny Sponberg's at the center of it, stealing third and scoring on the error.
We talked about yesterday with Brendan Anderson arguably being the most feared hitter in this league, but Sponberg is the most feared in a different way in my opinion. Again, he can just get on base and just wreak havoc like you mentioned, just those small plays like that. He finally timed up Shelton after just about 10 pitches where he had to sit out there. Couldn't quite find his timing, but just the one look on that 2-2 back to Sponberg, and right after he looked back home, Sponberg was off a great jump. Still a really good throw, but with Sponberg getting there in time, it just bounced off his head a little bit. Got too far away from Urban, who couldn't quite find it originally, and a big insurance run here for the Bombers.
Outside, 1-1, so Sponberg having one of those classic nights. Gotten on base all 3 times, a single, a double, a triple. He's stolen the base now and had that heads-up base running play on the ground ball back to the mound to score from third in the 3rd inning. Nico Stahl with an awkward swing. Taps one back, 1-2. Strikeout and a walk for him tonight. Bombers lead it 4-2 in the 5th. 1-2 from Austin Shelton. Long look in. And now it's swung on and missed. Again, he strikes out Nico Saul. And that takes us to the 6th inning. Bombers 4, Rail Riders 2. Rail Riders running out of time. 6 outs between them and elimination when we return on the Corn Belt League Network. Top of the 6th inning. Got a dog over there hanging out with our young ball player now. So, Jaden, we've been watching them over there in the Rail Rider bullpen for a few innings now. What's your official scouting report on our top prospect in the Corn Belt League here?
You know, it's got to be a long while, but you mentioned I really see the class of probably about 2038, 2039. Got to be the top guy here in Nebraska. He's got to be. I mean, consistent swing, a pretty strong throw. You know, the ball's probably about 3 times bigger than its hand itself, but, you know, it's getting there. That's the biggest thing, right? You talk so much about, you know, sometimes weighted balls. You talk about, you know, the tap balls, the plyo care things. That's really working for the kid right there. Getting the arm strength up early, getting yourself a little bit of a bigger arm. And, you know, in, hey, 10, 15 years, that kid's throwing 85.
Yeah, and now they get to learn from the best with Garrett Vosika going back out to the bullpen. As there's strike 1 from Adam Eggerts on Braden Artzer as he works into a 6th inning, 5 innings, 2 earned runs allowed by Eggert, but he's gotten some help from his offense. Bombers leading 4-2. 5 hits apiece. As this is popped up foul, it hits the lights. Wow. It's like a scene from The Natural right there.
I was about to do the theme song in my head, but I couldn't quite get it. I was going to do it.
0-2 the count on Archer. I've been waiting all year for one of those foul balls to at least hit the pole, but that one got the very top where you got the bank of lights.
Those are not cheap.
No, they're not. Thankfully, it hit the outer shell and not the bulb as it's 1-2. Braden Archer has singled twice. He's stolen the base and has scored a run. That was the first run for the Rail Riders in the 4th. 1-2 pitch. Slice back into center field, but Tanner Black comes in to make the catch. So he hit it pretty well, but it hangs up there long enough for out number 1.
And sometimes balls just don't fall. Braden Art's a really strong day so far. He's only had that little flare back in the first, but double down the left field line back in the 4th. And I mean, he's been able to get some pretty good pieces on balls all day. It's just whether it's going to fall or not. We'll see here in the 6th. Again, the top of the order here in this group down by 2. And I mentioned this past inning, you needed at least 1 to get to Eggert a little bit and make this a more comfortable game. I think you also need another one here in the 6th. Keep this one a 1-run ball game going into the 7th. The 2-run ball game, you know, we saw them score 2 last inning, but going up against a guy like Eggert, I highly doubt you're going to see that again.
Strike 1 on a foul ball to Gabriel Baker, the shortstop. He's 0 for 2. And takes a strike on the outside. 0-2 the count. Bombers bullpen has been dead silent all night long, and with Eggert's pitch count in a good place, you wonder if he can make it through 7. The 0-2 pitch is low, 1-2. We already saw technically dueling complete games in the first of our 2 quarterfinals. Cole Warner went 7 innings and got the win for the Haymakers, and then for the Royal Blue Dogs, Tanner Durazo went 6 innings, didn't have a chance to throw a 7th because the game was already over at that point. The pitching has been story of the day.
And I think coming into today, prepping for this one, I think we both knew that this was going to be the biggest pitching matchup, arguably 2 of the top 5 pitchers in the Corn Belt League this season going toe-to-toe. I think we knew that Cole Warner was going to have a good day, but maybe some question marks if Tanner Durazo could do that well up against the Haymakers. But what a first game that was. It was a beautiful pitcher's duel back and forth like you mentioned. And it's kind of a disheartening way to end your season, right? You gave up 1 triple, and that's about it. And somehow you get slated with a loss because the guy on the other end had an even better day.
2-2 the count on Gabriel Baker. Base is empty, 1 down. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Adam Eggert. And 2 away now for Derek Enertson, the left fielder.
And the 3rd of those 4 strikeouts have been on that backdoor curveball. Eggert has loved to use that on 0-2, 1-2, and 2-2. And he's been comfortable using it really whenever here tonight. But again, it's really been really devastating when he's been able to set himself ahead in counts.
High chopper, third base side, and can't be picked by Braden Olson. That was a tough play And he tried to cut off Brennan Cassio, the shortstop, unsuccessfully. Should be a base hit for Enertson as he's aboard with 2 outs.
That's the right style of play if you're Olsen, but didn't quite get to it enough to get enough of his body on it. Right? A lot of times on those little choppers, you want to get it a short hop. You want to get your glove that's going to be on your left hand right about in front of your left foot when you get that. Get that really small hop in front of you, scoop it back up. That's where you can set your feet and throw to first, but I think definitely didn't quite time the hop as well as he could have there for Olsen.
Strike 1 on A.J. Urban. Jane, you know who has hit 2 more home runs tonight? Aaron Judge. Can you believe that? He has 41 now.
And the Royals bullpen keeps blowing it.
Yep, you called it like an hour ago. Yeah, as that's pulled foul. 0-2 on A.J. Urban. It was 5-3 going into the 8th inning, and the Yankees scored 8 in the bottom of the 8th.
Probably a lot of people turning into this one because they're so tired of the Royals.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
I would be too.
Bobby Wood Jr.'s hurt right now. Is not a lot to enjoy right now. 0-2.
I'm a Marlins fan, so I can't talk. Hey, if there's a Marlins fan watching this game, I will send you $5. Because I don't know anybody other than myself and my father that is a Marlins fan here in Omaha, Nebraska.
It's a fair ball down the third base line and a long throw, line to line. Olsen to Saul to get the out. So Enertson is stranded, and it's still 4-2 Bombers. Going to the bottom of the 6th on the Corn Belt League Network.
Cassio, June.
Bottom of the 6th inning, Garrett Vosica takes the mound for the Rail Riders after 5 innings out of Austin Shelton, and from one former pitcher of the week to another. Vosica won it just this past week, July 18th through the 26th, going 7 innings, not giving up a single earned run, and pumping the strike zone.
Yeah, that 81.8 first pitch strike percentage, that is unheard of. The only time that I saw that was literally just a couple hours ago with Cole Warner. That's the kind of dominant performances that Garrett Vosica had this past week. 2 different performances came in kind of a late scheduled game, rescheduled game, and got 3 innings of relief work right before that. Had 4 innings pitch and an outing before that. So 2 different shorter outings for Vosica. Now he has to come in here to make sure that it stays a 2-run ball game. The last chance for the Rail Riders when we head to the 7th.
2-0 the count on Brennan Cassio, Bombers shortstop. And he hits one high in the air. Foul territory. There's a play for Kaminsky, and he has to dive back again. And he caught that. That's the second time we've seen the spin of the baseball on a foul off to the right side. forced the first baseman to dive. It was Saul earlier and now Kaminsky, but he makes the catch.
Another really tough play, right? Again, the ranging part isn't always hard. It's just when you're underneath it, can you gauge where it's going to fall? It's really shaky when you look back up in the air, especially in the night sky. It's really hard to see. But what a play right there by Liam Kaminsky. They kind of fall behind him a little bit to make that play.
First pitch to Gage Julin is fouled back, strike one. The full season numbers on the lefty Garrett Vosika. He split time between the bullpen and the rotation. This is his 6th relief appearance. He's also made 5 starts, 32 innings coming in, 12 walks and 37 strikeouts, and a team best ERA of 1.31. As he goes off speed for strike 2, and he's ahead 0-2 on Gage Julin.
And again, we talked about it with Coach Francisco. They really wanted to save Vosika for tomorrow if they got there, but Shelton, not quite the start they wanted to see out of him. Really strong day with 7 strikeouts, just not quite his normal output with 4 earned runs.
Julin strikes out for the 2nd time as he goes down swinging once again, and now second baseman Kyle Weber.
Baseman from Bellevue University, number 3, Kyle Weber.
Weber 0 for 2 with a pop out and a ground out. Vosika last appeared Friday against the Red Raiders in a start when he went 4 innings, allowing 4 unearned runs and striking out 5. Red Raiders throwing him out there, trying to do everything they can to keep this game within striking distance. Their offense down to their final 3 outs in the top of the 7th, and want to keep the deficit within 2. 1-0 pitch to Weber is in for a strike.
There's that off-speed piece from Vosika. Again, you mentioned 2 different lefties kind of going back and forth there between him and Egger. That curveball is going to have that same type of movement. Vosika is going to be a little more comfortable putting it more inside the zone rather than Egger really trying to dot that outer half. Vosika, and you talk about so much that left side, a lot of guys are kind of junk lefties. I don't say they're fully, truly junk lefties, but they're both guys that have really good off-speed.
The 2-1 pitch. That is in the dirt. 3 balls and a strike. Third baseman Braden Olson is on deck. Vosika comes set. Here's the pitch. And that is upstairs, ball 4. Weber flings the bat away and takes a walk. And he's aboard with 2 down. Olson coming up.
They can't be too discouraged by the walk there. You're still in the bottom of the order here. I think Vosika's still got to be able to attack up against Braden Olson, who somewhat struggled here today with the ground out and a strikeout. And Vosika, you are one of the best guys in this league with a lot of top 5, top 10 statistics this season. Go back to it. Make sure you can still attack some of these guys. Again, this is a really slim margin here, but try to get an out.
Rolled to third, gobbled up by Urban, and he throws to first for the outs. Olson goes down on 1 pitch, and we head to the top of the 7th. Bombers are 3 outs away from securing their spot in the semifinals. You're watching playoff baseball on the Corn Belt League Network. Top of the 7th inning, last chance for the Rail Riders, and Whit Rogers leads it off. He'll be followed by Liam Kaminsky and Cedric Dunwald as scheduled. Adam Eggert looking for the complete game. He's allowed 2 runs through 6 innings. And he fires outside ball 1 to Rogers, who's 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout.
And Eggert kind of slowed down these last couple innings after first 3 scoreless, allowed 1 run, both the 4th and the 5th. But and Eggert, they talk about it, the times where he struggled is when he's found himself outside the zone. A hit by a pitch in the 5th to bring around the run, and Liam Kaminsky. He's kind of been the only piece where he's gotten behind, but on 2 of the 3 hits that he's given up these last couple of innings have all been times where he started off down in the count.
Beautiful backdoor pitch. 1-2 the count on Whit Rogers. Guys behind him have had success tonight. But Rogers will have success right here. Base hit center field, and the tying run will come to the plate.
Those are the kind of hits you need in a spot like this. Whit Rogers, been a guy that's come through in a lot of different spots this season. And it looks like he'll switch out for a little bit more speed.
Your attention,
Again,
please.
you need
Now
something to
running
keep
at
your
first base
season
for
alive.
William
Really good
Mathis,
way
number
to start it
31,
off.
Garrett Dethridge. Now batting, the first baseman from Minnesota State Community College, number 0, Liam Kaminsky.
Garrett Dethridge, the courtesy runner at first base. And Liam Kaminsky at bat. 1 for 1 with a single, hit by pitch, and a run scored tonight, and that one in the dirt. Blocked well by Gage Julin. Dethridge has only attempted 1 stolen base on the year, and he was caught. But it's just a matter of making sure you don't get forced out at second on a play where you shouldn't. Only runner that Eggert is concerned about here is a man at the plate because he is the tying run. Doesn't matter if it's made a 4-3 game here.
This is a spot in the order that you can be pretty confident with, right? Liam Kaminsky, the single back in the 2nd, was hit by a pitch in the 5th, and then Dunwald here with 2 pieces of consistent hitting, so even some production out of the bottom 3rd of the order.
And that does not get the call. 2 balls, no strikes. Looked like Eggert put it in a good spot, but home plate umpire didn't call it. Now Kaminsky ahead. And that one is high, no doubt about it. 3-0. Catcher Cedric Dunwald on deck. Already an RBI double for him tonight. As the 3-0 to Kaminsky is upstairs, ball 4. Tying run is on base for the Rail Riders with nobody out. A single and a walk.
We saw drama last night in the last couple of innings with the Black Sox scoring 3 in the bottom of the 6th to take the lead, and some drama here in our nightcap on day 2 of the quarterfinals. And the thought process here, again, the bullpen has not been there for the Bombers this season, so it's going to be Eggert the rest of the way on this one. Good talk here from Austin Alexander to go back out to him, talk a little bit, get him reset a little bit. Still no damage here so far, so you can be pretty confident still if you're Eggert, but you cannot allow this to get out of hand these next couple of batters.
2 on, nobody out. Gotta love the dramatic music playing from the press box here.
The catcher from Mount Mercy, number 30, Cedric
Which one is that?
I couldn't tell you. They'll get mixed up to me. Sounded like it. But anyway, 2 on, nobody out. Cedric Dunwald, who has lined into a double play and doubled off the wall in left field on the fly. And he bunts this one down the 3rd base line. It goes under the glove of Eggert, and everybody's safe. Bases loaded, nobody out. Wow.
Little things keep piling on. It's the ability for guys to not allow it to snowball. And man, this one's getting even more interesting.
It'll be a base hit for Dunwald.
From Buena Vista University, number 29, Ben Raveling.
And the tying run is in scoring position with nobody out. Ben Raveling with the bases loaded and nobody out. First pitch to him is outside, ball 1.
And again, we mentioned it, right? Not a lot of deep bullpen here for the Bombers. Not a lot of guys to go to. The guy that they'd be next going to for Austin Alexander is actually the man playing third base right now in Braden Olson.
Grounded back to the mound. Throw home for the out. And a double play. Absolutely huge defensive play for the Bombers. 1-2-3 double play. And now 2 down with 2 in scoring position.
Talk about a way to answer back, right? The third comebacker of the day, right back at Adam Eggert. Knew exactly what to do. Got the first out at home. The strong throw by Julian, just on the money to Nico Saul. I think the air in the tires just got a little bit weaker. Still 2 guys in scoring position, but a lot comfortable position here with 2 outs.
And a swing and a miss by Garrett Globe for strike 1. He's 0 for 2, the ground out, and then reached on a strikeout in the 5th. Tying run at second base. As the 0-1 pitch is chopped. First base, Nico Sol waits for it to come down and flips to Eggert to finish the complete game and send the Bombers to the semifinals.
What a way to answer back right there from Adam Eggert. You had 2 plays with weak contact. You figure a way to get out of it. And that's what championship teams do. When you're back on your heels, how can you answer and figure a way to minimize the damage? And somehow, after bases loaded and nobody out, not a single run comes across.
Final score, Bombers 4, Rail Riders 2. And it'll be the Bombers and the Filth Ballers. What a matchup that is in the 1-4 semifinal. And Whit Rogers, what a season from him. How much fun did he have this year? We thank him for giving us so much entertainment. We thank the Rail Riders for a heck of a season as well. But the Bombers are moving on to the semis, and we'll be back here in a moment to talk with their Kelly Supply Company players of the game when we come back. back at JJ Isaacson Field here in Omaha. The Bombers, the final team to punch their ticket to the semifinals as they take down the Rail Riders in a dramatic ball game. 4-2 the final score. Bombers were out hit 8-5. There was some trouble in the 7th inning, but they pull it out in the end, and I'm here with the two guys that were big reason why they came out on top. Our Kelly Supply Company players of the game, Danny Sponberg, along with Adam Eggert. And Danny, I'll start with you. 3 for 3 today, a single, a double, a triple. You scored 2 of the 4 runs. Tell us about your approach up there against a great pitcher in Austin Shelton.
You know, for the past couple weeks, I've been keeping the same approach, but something that I noticed today that I was doing was just not thinking up there. A lot of people overthink and try to read the spin too much or whatnot, and it just throws them off, but I was just seeing ball and reacting to it, and it was working.
Now, you didn't get the 2 stolen bases that you promised us down in the dugout, but you were still all over the place on the base pass, whether it was the triple to right center field or scoring the run on the ground out. But just tell us about, especially in the playoffs, how important that base running is for your ball club.
Yeah, so I was definitely being more precautious out there. I wasn't trying to be as aggressive as I usually am because I wanted to be, I didn't want to get thrown out. So I was just waiting for my team to do what they needed to do, and they gradually moved me over and I scored, so it worked out.
Now, I know you're a confident guy, part of a confident, loose group of guys, so just tell us about the energy and morale of your team in that dugout at this point in the season.
Yeah, everyone was extremely stoked to play today. I mean, especially me, I was insanely just everywhere, just my brain was going 1,000 miles an hour, but yeah, I would just say that our team chemistry is one thing that definitely keeps us going. Everyone is super good friends. We all nice to each other, and we just have good team chemistry, which I think moves us further. So, yeah.
So you did it at the plate and on the bases, and this man did it on the mound. Adam Eggert, heralded as one of the top pitchers in the Corn Belt League, showed us all why tonight with a complete game, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. Just recap your outing for us here real quick.
Well, in the 7th inning, I felt like I made it a little bit more interesting than probably what I wanted to. But felt like I was around the zone a lot tonight. I had hitters off balance for the most part most of the night, and had a few big strikeouts in key situations, and was just able to get the ground balls when I needed to.
Now take us through that 7th inning, because it was a wild ride for us up here in the booth. I can't imagine what it felt like down in the field. Bases loaded, nobody out, but you get the double play to put yourself in a 2nd and 3rd 2-out situation and get some help from Nico Saul to close it out. So just take us through what that was like for you down there on the mound.
Well, it was a really big killer when I missed the bunt, but I just had to kind of take a step back. You could see on the broadcast I just took about a 5-second break on the backside of the mound, just gathered my thoughts, and was just thinking, got to pound, got to get a ground ball here, and thankfully it worked out. And then the big one to Nico to finish it off was just awesome. So
now, last thing here, I'll leave this for both of you guys. Why should this Bombers ball club be the last team standing at the end of this postseason tournament? You can go ahead and start, Danny.
Let's see. I mean, I want to say that we've had a lot of ups and downs, and I feel like that kind of motivates us because we're better than we've been playing. Today we played pretty damn well, but overall, throughout the season, I definitely think that we're definitely a better team than we show. So I think that kind of gives us motivation to keep moving through everything and just playing our best ball, because I definitely think we're the best team out here, but if we play perfect baseball, we'll win. So.
Yeah, what about you, Adam?
Well, I think Danny said it best. We're a team that has our ups and downs, and I feel like this late in the season, we've already had what you would say our lowest point throughout some of the games, that we know how to come back now, and we know how to get out of those situations. And, if we're down big, we at the plate can just scratch off a few runs, or our pitchers know, okay, well, we got to throw strikes in these counts now to overcome the situation. And I think it really showed tonight when some of us got in big spots, like with a few of our hitters, we're able to put some balls in play, and then Danny running the bases just tremendously tonight. So.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, and congratulations on the big win. Our Corn Belt League Kelly Supply Company players of the game, Danny Sponberg with 3 hits, 2 runs, and Adam Eggert with the complete game. And we're right back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock with the Bombers and Filth Ballers, followed by the Black Sox and the Haymakers in the semifinals. So for Jaden Taylor and our entire Corn Belt League broadcast crew, Tyler Reidy saying have a great night, everybody. See you right back here tomorrow.
No matter what your age, skill level, or position, Your baseball season begins at the Strike Zone. Featuring state-of-the-art batting cages, group and private instruction, the Strike Zone provides athletes all the training and equipment you need to get your game to the next level. Give the gift of development to your baseball or softball player. Purchase your Strike Zone gift cards today. Baseball never ends at the Strike Zone.